If you're a Florida landlord dealing with unpaid rent, the first legal step in the eviction process is the 3-day notice. But many landlords don't fully understand how it actually works, and small misunderstandings at this stage can delay your case before it even reaches court. In this video, I'll walk you through what the Florida 3-day notice is, when it's used, what it must include, how the days are calculated, and what happens after it expires. Let's break it down clearly. What it is: the Florida 3-day notice is a formal written demand for unpaid rent. It is not an eviction lawsuit. It is not a court filing. It is a required legal notice that gives the tenant 3 business days to either pay the full amount of unpaid rent or vacate the property. It serves as the legal foundation for a potential eviction case. Without properly serving this notice first, you generally cannot proceed with filing for eviction due to non-payment. Think of it as the starting line in the legal process. When it's used, the 3-day notice is used specifically for non-payment of rent. It is not used for lease violations unrelated to rent, property damage, unauthorized occupants, non-renewal of lease. Those situations require different types of notices under Florida law. This notice is strictly for unpaid rent. If rent is late beyond any grace period defined in your lease and the tenant has not paid, this is when the 3-day notice becomes appropriate. Timing matters. Issuing it too early before rent is legally late can create complications. What it must include: a compliant Florida 3-day notice must contain specific elements. It should clearly state the full legal names of the tenant or tenants, the rental property address, the exact amount of unpaid rent owed, a clear deadline for payment, proper statutory wording, the date of service. The amount listed must reflect unpaid base rent only, not late fees, not utilities, not repair costs. Including additional charges can invalidate the notice. Clarity and accuracy are critical. The notice must be structured in a way that aligns with Florida requirements. This is a formal legal document, not an informal payment reminder. How the days are calculated: 320 to 440. This is where confusion often happens. The 3 days in a Florida 3-day notice are business days. That means Saturdays do not count. Sundays do not count. Legal holidays do not count. For example, if you serve the notice on a Monday and there are no holidays, the 3 days would typically be Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. If you serve it on a Friday, counting usually begins on Monday, assuming Monday is not a legal holiday. Miscounting the days can render the notice defective. If the deadline listed is incorrect, a court may require you to restart the process. It's always better to calculate carefully than to rush. Accuracy protects your timeline. What happens after the 3 days expire? After the 3 business days pass, 2 outcomes are possible. First, the tenant pays the full amount within the allowed time frame. If that happens, the issue is typically resolved, and you should document the payment clearly. Second, the tenant does not pay and does not vacate. At that point, you may proceed with filing an eviction lawsuit in county court. The court will review your lease, your 3-day notice, proof of service, your rent ledger. If your notice was defective, incomplete, or improperly served, your case may be delayed or dismissed. That's why precision at the beginning is so important. The 3-day notice is not just paperwork, it's the procedural foundation of your case. The eviction process in Florida is procedural. It's not about emotion. It's not about confrontation. It's about following clear legal steps in the correct order. When landlords understand how the 3-day notice actually works, they avoid unnecessary delays and protect their position. Accuracy creates leverage. Organization creates momentum. If you want to make sure your Florida 3-day notice is structured correctly from the start, we've made a compliant template available for free. It's formatted clearly and designed specifically for Florida landlords. You can download it below and start the process correctly.